I think Kaveri madam and Komala madam will just hello them.
Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yeah. Komala madam, welcome.
Hello, namaste.
Namaste madam. Yeah.
Good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon madam. Kaveri madam seems to be there.
There's some technical glitches, ma'am. Madam messaged me. 1 or 2 minutes, it will be
No,
corrected.
somewhere she raised her hand. We
Yes,
could
ma'am.
see
Yes, ma'am.
that.
Is my screens visible?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. Presentation mode go please, sir.
Presentation. Okay.
ಕಪ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ 4 ಕ್ವಾಡ್ರಾಂಗಲ್ ಪಕ್ಕಕ್ಕೆ ಕಪ್ ಶೇಪ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
Is my screens visible, ma'am?
Yeah, your face is visible and you're audible.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you can just go for full screen mode. ಅದು ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಅದು 4 ಇದು ಕಾಣ್ತದೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಕಪ್ ಶೇಪ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ 88% ಏನೋ ಹಾಕಿದಲ್ಲ, ಅದೇ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಸರ್.
Yeah.
Third one in the box, can you just see?
This one?
Yeah, bottom move. Yeah, bottom line. Mouse ನೀವು ಒಂಚೂರು ಮೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ I think we would be able.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Is it okay, ma'am? Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Madam, Kokila madam.
Hello. Sir.
Kokila madam.
F5 ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್. F5 ಮಾಡಿ. F5.
Okay.
ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇದಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಶೇರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
Control F5.
ಹೌದು. Control.
Shift F5.
ಬರೀ F5 ಮಾಡಿ.
F5. I'm doing it, ma'am.
ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಸರ್, ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಸ್ಕ್ರಾಲ್ ಬಾರ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ.
Okay.
ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಇಸ್ ಆನ್ ಯೋರ್ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಸೈಡ್. ಅದೇ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಎಂಡಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ.
Yeah.
ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದೇ ರೋನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
ಮಹೇಶ್ ರೈಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಿ, ರೈಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಒಂದ್ ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ನೋಡಿ.
I'm not getting, ma'am.
ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ರೈಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ
ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ದೊಡ್ಡದ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ದೊಡ್ಡದ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಬಿಡಿ. ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ದೊಡ್ಡದ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
Is this okay, ma'am?
ನೋ ಚೇಂಜ್.
ಸರ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಶೋ ಅಂತಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್.
And the more we have.
ಸರ್ ಈಗ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಶೋ ಅಂತಿದೆ, ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ರೆಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಶೋ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ?
Can I do one thing, ma'am?
ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ ಸರ್, ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ. ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಶೇರಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಅದು ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ದಟ್. ಈಗ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್. ಸರ್ ಇನ್ನೂ ಒಂದ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, PPT ನಮಗ್ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬಿಡಿ, ನಾವ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಫೈನ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಫೈನ್. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಮಹೇಶ್ ಸರ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಫೈನ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಹೋಗಿ, ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನಿಮಗೆ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ. ಎಂಟರ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಕೊಡಿ, ಆರೋ ಕೊಡಿ. ಎಸ್ ಸರ್, ಎಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಆಯ್ತು ಸರ್, ಗೋ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಸರ್. ಸರಿ ಹೋಯ್ತು. Hello, sir, can we start? Kaveri madam, namaste madam.
Yes, namaste.
Yes madam, can we start?
Yes ma'am, please.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Taking the blessings of His Holiness Swamiji, I welcome one and all for today's event arranged by ICC JSS AHER. As you all know, we have scheduled series of events for prevention, prohibition and redressal of gender sensitization and sexual harassment, discrimination against women, PAKHWADA program. Today, we have a panel discussion on women and law, provisions for women employees. So for this panel discussion, we have the panelists, Justice Srimati Kaveri, Member Secretary, Karnataka State High Court Legal Service Committee, Dr. Komala, HOD of Human Development Department, University of Mysore, Dr. Kumudini Achi, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, JSS College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Ooty Road, Mysore. The session will be moderated by Dr. BP Mahesha, Principal, Soundarya College of Law, Bangalore. So, now I welcome the chairpersons for today's event, Professor Shivanand Bharti, Member, ICC JSS AHER and Controller of Examination, JSS Law College, Mysore. Sir, please. I also welcome Dr. M.R. Dakshayani, Deputy Director Authorities, JSS AHER, Mysore, to come on the dais. Now, I'll be honored to welcome each one of our panelists with a brief introduction to each and every one of our panelists. Starting with, first, I welcome Justice Srimati Kaveri Ma'am, who is BA LLB from Bagalkot, LLM from Karnataka University, Dharwad. Ma'am is presently Member Secretary of High Court Legal Services Committee. She has served as a lecturer in RL Law College and BV Ballard Law College, Belgavi, and also the founder principal of BLDEA Law College, Jamkhandi District, Bagalkot. She joined judiciary in 2008 as civil judge and judicial magistrate of first class. She has worked at Gadag, Koppal and Rona. She was promoted as senior civil judge in 2015 and worked at Mudde Bihal of Bijapur district. She has worked as member secretary of District Legal Services, Udupi. She has organized more than 100 legal literacy programs for women and children in schools, colleges and villages across Udupi. She has acted as a resource person at various programs organized by District Health Department and District Administration. We welcome you, ma'am. Now, I take the opportunity to welcome our second panelist, Dr. Komala, Chairperson, Department of Studies in Food Science and Nutrition, Professor and Course Coordinator, PG Program in Human Development, Also the coordinator in Mysore University Daycare Center, Manasa Gangotri, Mysore. Her area of specialization in teaching are lifespan development, theories of human development, early childhood care and education, family stress, mental health, marriage and family relations, gerontology, life skills education, scientific writing. She has research experience of around 23 years, guided numerous postdoctoral fellows, PhD students and MSc students. She has a total of around 56 publications, which include textbook, chapters in various textbooks, and papers published in national and international journals. She has done around 127 presentations in both national and international conferences. She is a member of various academic bodies of universities, academic societies, and also for the various journals. We welcome you, ma'am. Now, I take upon the opportunity to welcome our third panelist, Dr. Kumudini Achi, postgraduate Department of Studies in Social Work at JSS College of Arts, Commerce and Science, Ooty Road, Mysore. She is a certified internal quality auditor for quality management system. She has prepared training module for the training programs on ISO 9001-2000 and ISO 16949-2002 awareness program, and also on communication skills in industry. She has also prepared a handbook on requirements of ISO /TS 16949-2002 in both Kannada and English version. She has more than 38 publications in various textbooks, national and international journals, and she is a felicitator, or you can say she is a orator giving talks related to women and girls empowerment at various places. We welcome you, ma'am. The program will be moderated by Dr. B.P. Mahesha, who has done BA, LLM, MPhil, PhD. He is the principal of Soundarya Law College, Bangalore. Sir has a teaching experience of around 10 years and principal for the last 3 years in the college. He has around 22 publications in various journals and has presented around 41 papers in various conferences. He has conducted more than 15 education-oriented exhibitions and also attended around 141 conferences, bagged 4 awards, and has given 22 public talks. We welcome you, sir. Now, I introduce our chairpersons, Professor Shivanand Bharti, member, ICC, JSS AHER, and Controller of Examination, JSS College, Mysore, JSS Law College, Mysore. He teaches Hindu law, contract, company law, labor law, contractual remedies. He has given various talks on human trafficking, defamation, and violence against women, and in various NSS camps also. He has worked as a project coordinator in Equality Rights Leadership Program by Sakshi, which is an NGO, in association with MSW Department, Mysore. He has presented various papers in the conferences. We welcome you, sir. Now, I take the opportunity to welcome our second chairperson, Dr. Emma Dakshayani, Deputy Director, Academics, JSS AHER, Professor and Head Prosthodontics and Crown and Bridge, and Vice Principal, JSS Dental College. She has a vast experience in teaching, research activities, and administration. She has around 26 publications in various national and international journals. She is also instrumental in leading the online degree program at the university and chairs the Deputy Director CDOE of JSS AHER. She serves on the editorial board of many journals and has successfully organized workshops, seminars, and conferences. I welcome you, ma'am. Now, I request our moderator for today's session, Dr. B.P. Mahesh, sir, to continue with the session. Sir.
Thank you for a wonderful introduction about chairperson and the panelist. First of all, let me to thank the JSS group of institutions for giving an opportunity to be a moderator for the function. Respected chairman, sir, and panelists, Today we are going to have a discussion on provisions relating to working women. The time which is given to us is 3 to 4:30, almost 90 minutes. Each panelist is going to speak for 15 minutes, so totally 45 minutes presentation. Question and answer, moderating and
Dr. Mahesh sir, you can
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. Yes. Is my screen is visible?
So we can't hear you.
Okay.
Ah.
Is I audible now?
Now you're audible, sir.
Yes. Welcome to all, respected chairperson and the panelists. It's my privilege to work as a moderator for the panel discussion on provisions relating to working women. The time which is given to us is 9. Panelist is going to speak for moderate 50 minutes for a. Coming to introduction, women forms an integral part of Indian workforce. Total population 39.79% are workers, out of which 53.26 are male, 25.51% is female. As per the census 2011, female workers in India are 149.8 million, out of which 121.8 residing in rural, urbans 28.0. 39.9 million workers are working as a cultivators, 61.5% are working as agricultural laborers, 8.5 million work as household industries, 43.7 million workers are working as other workers. When you move on to work participation in 1981, 19.67%, it raised to 22.27 in 1991, 25.63 in 2001, and 2011 it raised to 25.51. Coming to the provisions for protection of working women or women employees. What are the basic problems that are faced by women workers? The problem of difficulties got multiplied due to their particular social, biological, psychological conditions due to their illiteracy and ignorance. The Constitution of India gives a protection to a woman under Article 14, 15, 16, right to equality. Article 21 gives a right to life. Article 23, 39, 43, 46 imposes liability on the state to come out with a special provision for the protection of working women. Coming to the National Commission on Labor report submitted in the year 2002, which clearly stated that the Commission has also justified the protective discriminatory legislation in favor of women by recommending that all such legislations are necessary for women workers. Means we have more than 10 legislation for the protection of working women. Start from the Plantation Labours Act 1951, Mines Act 1952, the Factories Act 1948, Minimum Wages Act 1948, Payment of Wages Act 1936, Contract Labor Regulations Act 1970, Building and Other Construction Workers Act 1996, Employees State Insurance Act 1948, Employees Provident Fund Act 1952, Workmen Compensation Act 1923, Interstate Migrant Workers Act 1979, Payment of Wages Act 1972, BD and Cigar Workers Condition of Employment Act 1966. We have a good number of legislation for the protection of women. Coming to equal remuneration, as clearly stated in Article 14, 15, and 16 of Indian Constitution, along with Article 39, it clearly states that states shall, in particular, have policies towards securing equal pay for equal work for the both men and women. That's why the Act 1976, that is Equal Remuneration Act, was enacted to give equal pay for equal men and women. In Sajid Rai was state of Rajasthan. A classic case came before the Honorable Supreme Court with regard to famine relief work. In famine relief work, they haven't given equal remuneration. Act of 1948, section motion.
Excuse me, Mahesh, you are not audible.
Maybe he lost connection, like we'll just check.
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Mahesh, you are not audible. Ranjit, chat box ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿ.
Madam.
Yes, sir. Dr. Mahesh, can we?
Is I audible, ma'am?
Now you're audible, sir. I think
Yes,
you can log out of the other. I think from the laptop or something. You can log out. Otherwise, we'll have double. Okay, you can mute the. Yes. Now you go ahead, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's fine.
Sorry
sir.
for the technical glitch. Is my screen sharing, ma'am?
Yes, your slide is visible. You can go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Coming to provision at night work, Factories Act 1948 under Section 66 plus 1B, BD and Cigar Workers Act 1966 under Section 25, Mines Act 1952 46 plus 1B prohibits work at night time. Moving further, the Maternity Benefit Act mandated that there shall be a 26 weeks of holidays with wages. The maternity benefit provisions also are there in Central Service Rules 1972, Mines Act 1948. There are three important cases came before the Honorable Supreme Court. That is Air India versus Nargesh Mishra. The court held that termination of service on pregnancy was unreasonable and arbitrary, and it's a violation of Article 14. The same Supreme Court in the year 2000, in Municipal Corporation of Delhi versus female workers, held that these provisions applicable to casual workers, daily wage workers also. Another classic decision given by Honorable Supreme Court in Mohini Philip versus Union of India, where a nursing officer in the military services was released from the services on the ground of marriage. The court held that the order was arbitrary, unreasonable, and quashed the order of termination. The court held that there is a circular which provides for assessment of standard of performance after marriage, not violative of Article 14 and 16. Moving further, provisions for separate latrines and urinals. The Contract Labours Act under Rule 53, Factories Act Section 19, Interstate Migrant Workers Central Rules 1980 Rule 42, Mines Act 1952 under Section 20, Plantation Labour Act 1951 Section 9 clearly stated that it's a mandatory on the part of the employer to provide separate latrines and urinals. Coming to provisions for separate washing facilities, Section 57 of Contract Labours Act, 42 of Factories Act, 43 of Interstate Migrant Workers Act 1979 mandated that employers should provide separate washing facilities. Coming to provisions relating to taking care of the children's, provision for creches, Section 48 of Factories Act, Section 44 of Interstate Migrant Workmen's Act 1979, Section 12 of Plantation Labours Act 1951, Section 14 of BD and Cigar Workers Act 1966, Section 35 of Building and Other Construction Works 1996 Act mandated that the employer should provide creche. Moving further, one of the hurdles, one of the problem which is faced by working women, that is harassment at working places. The Honorable Supreme Court time and again held that harassment-free working places is a fundamental right. Harassment-free working place is a fundamental right of working women. In state of Rajasthan versus Vishaka case, the Honorable Supreme Court laid down the guidelines for the protection of working women. In tune with Vishaka versus state of Rajasthan, in the year 2013, the central government enacted Prevention of Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplaces Act 2013. This is a special legislation enacted for the protection of working women. It's an epic, and the rules also framed under this act for effective implementation of the provision to secure harassment-free working places. Apart from that, we have EPF Act, we have State Insurance Act, we have Payment of Gratuity Act, Payment of Wages Act, Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Bonus Act, Workmen Compensation Act 1923. There's no depth for the legislations. We have enough number of legislation to address the issues relating to working women. But the problem is why women are not coming and holding highest post. Look at the statistics. As per the World Employment Survey statistics, the top most post hold by just 12.5% of a women. Coming to politics, only 14.5%. Coming to judiciary, a pillar of the democracy, always working for the betterment of the common man. Judiciary is called as guardian, champion, protector of the human rights and fundamental rights. In judiciary, in Supreme Court, out of 33 judges, only 4 female judges are working. Coming to profession, only 15% of advocates are practicing are women. What may be the problems? The problems may be social, biological, psychological conditions. It may be a problem relating to suitable job on offer, question of safety and unorganized sector, because women are not organized. Coming to the other issues relating to working women, until women are given same opportunity that of men are, entire society will be destined to perform below their true potentials. Yes, women are having a potentiality, capacity to hold any post, but there are some hurdles. The greatest need of the hour is change of social attitude, social behavior. Lacking in work participation, as well as the quality of employment, the reasons may be lack of awareness on law, legal aid and assistance, food, nutrition, health, childbirth related issues, workplace harassment, mental pressure and safety issues. No doubt, the Article 21 of Indian Constitution along with 39A and 47 gives a right to life to women, including working women. The right to life includes right to legal aid and assistance as it held by under Supreme Court in Khatri versus State of Bihar. Right to health, food with nutrition held in the case of PUCL versus Union of India. Stress-free workplace held in Visakhapatnam versus State of Rajasthan. In this background, I request our member secretary of High Court Legal Services Committee, Srimati Kaveri Madam, to present the views on Legal Services Authority and legal aid assistance for women employees. Madam, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Mahesh, for setting up the right tone for the session. Though there were some technical glitches, but I think so we are all on the right track as such. And secondly, I would like to thank the entire the team of organizers, JSS Institution, for giving me this opportunity for being with you, though not in like in person, but virtually, yes. This is a platform like where there is a feasibility of being there and not there, both for that matter. So the topic which I'll be covering is basically the legal services authorities and legal aid and assistance for women as such. Am I audible like everyone?
Yes, ma'am, you can go ahead.
Yes. So now coming to the legal service authorities and legal aid and assistance for women. Yes, Mahesh sir is also on the same page. So basically, legal service implies giving free legal services to the poor and the needy who cannot afford the services of a lawyer for conduct of a case or legal proceeding in any court, tribunal, or before an authority, and includes giving of advice on any legal matter. Basically, legal service, like what we are speaking about, is the free legal services to the poor and the needy for those who cannot afford the services of a lawyer. See, today, if you take up any profession for that matter, I think so the most lucrative profession is that of a lawyer. In comparatively, most lucrative profession is that of a lawyer. And imagine like a poor and person who doesn't have any basic education thinking of affording a lawyer or going to the court. So what the like there is also a constitutional mandate behind giving the legal services to the poor and the needy. Firstly, it is the we have this the preamble of our Indian Constitution itself. What it says: justice, social, economic, and political, and equality of status and opportunity. These are the mandates which are given in our Constitution. Justice is such wherein it is tagged, or you find it as a prefix for social justice, economic justice, and political justice. So it is, when we talk about social justice, it also means access to justice. Justice not just means getting the justice, but also having access to justice. I think that is the whole idea behind this preamble. And of course, you also have this equality of status and of opportunity. And then comes Article 14 and 21. It is on the next slide, like yes. 14 and 21 also make it obligatory for the state. It also makes it obligatory for the state to ensure equality before law and a legal system which promotes justice on the basis of equal opportunity for all. See, the thing is, there is a long-term like proverbs which they say that one who goes to the court loses everything. One who wins loses everything. One who loses his life. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿನೇ ಅದು ಗಾದೆ ಮಾತಿದೆ. ಏನು ಸೋತವನು ಗೆದ್ದವನು ಸೋತವನು ಸತ್ತ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. So when this is the situation of the legal system, the constitutional mandated that there has to be access to justice, which is fundamental right incorporated under Article 14 and 21. Similarly, we have Article 39A also of the Constitution of India, which provides that the state shall secure. See, basically, though this is Article 39A is a directive principles of state policy, it is a direction to the state that it shall secure what? Operation of legal system which promotes justice on the basis of equal opportunity. That is, everyone should have access to justice. Everyone must have equal opportunity to get justice, and shall in particular provide free legal aid by suitable legislations or schemes or in any other way to ensure that opportunities for securing justice are not denied to any citizen by reason of economic or other disability. See, there are various other disabilities which every person faces in approaching the courts of law. For example, it may be the lack of education, it may be the lack of knowledge, it may be the lack of the knowledge of the fact that I have the right. For example, in many of the cases when we go for legal awareness programs, what do we find is that especially some women, they do not know that they have the right. Right to what? Right to get equal, like equal pay for equal wages. They do not know. Why? Because it has been customary to pay less to the women. So that is what do we understand by this term? Other disabilities is that not just economic disabilities, but there are other disabilities also which are preventing a person to have access to justice. Having justice or not is totally a different thing. When it comes to the court of law, depending upon the evidence, depending upon the arguments, depending upon the cross-examinations, depending upon the skill of the lawyers and the wisdom of a judge, a justice is being delivered. But we are talking about access to justice like this just before entering the doors of the court itself. So Article 39A makes it very specifically states that the state should ensure opportunities for securing justice, that they are not denied to any citizen by reason of either economic or other disabilities. So it was based on this constitutional mandate to have a system where it promotes justice, that the Legal Services Authorities Act was enacted in the year 1987. Just check out, like we have this constitution way back in the year 1950 itself, and this Legal Services Authorities Act comes into picture in the year 1987. So it literally took like many decades to attain those constitutional goals. Now, what are the main objectives of this Legal Services Authorities Act? They are very much similar to that of Article 39A. Or rather, they are similar, not only just similar, but also similarly worded. They are one and the same. One is, the very first objective is to constitute legal services authorities across the state. And then to provide free and competent legal services to the weaker section of the society, to ensure that opportunities for securing justice are not denied to any citizen by reason of economic or other disabilities, to organize Lok Adalat, and to secure that operation of legal system promotes justice on the basis of equal opportunities. So how this is achieved? That is the goal of the Constitution as stated in the preamble, that is justice or the equality under Article 14 or 21 as a access to legal justice or 39A. Now at various levels, the state has established authorities so that the act and purpose and the objective and the purpose of the act is carried forward or it is brought into reality. The topmost comes at the National Legal Services Authority, which is the only one of its kind situated at the center, presently at Delhi, and shortly the short form is NALSA, National Legal Services Authority. It is under the established under the Supreme Court of India. And then right there under we have Supreme Court Legal Services Committee. That is another authority which is set up under the Act. Then comes every state has State Legal Services Authority, be it either Karnataka, Andhra, Maharashtra, or all the states in the country have one State Legal Service Authority in the headquarters. Then comes in every high court. In every high court, there is High Court Legal Services Committee. Every district in the country has a District Legal Services Authority. In Karnataka, now that we have this, including the new district, the district court is not established. So therefore, in the 30 districts of Karnataka, we have District Legal Services Authority situated in the premises of the district court itself. Then comes every taluka in the state, every taluka in the district, every taluka in the entire country has Taluka Legal Services Committee. Both these District Legal Services Authority and Taluka Legal Services Committees are established or they are housed in the court buildings. The DLSA for short form is in district court and Taluka Legal Service Committees are housed in the Taluka courts itself. So this is how like we have these mechanisms or authorities are there in the entire levels, like one is at the national level, state level, district level, taluka level, and then one Supreme Court Legal Service Committee, and every high court has High Court Legal Services Committee. Now let us just check out what do these legal services institutions do and who are entitled for free legal services. To avail free legal services under the Act, firstly, the following conditions must be fulfilled. That is, there must be the persons falling under Section 12 of the Legal Services Authorities Act. And prima facie, they must have case to prosecute or defend. That is, it is not enough if a person is falling in one of the criteria or one of the criteria as categories mentioned under Section 12. But at the same time, the person should also have prima facie case to prosecute or defend. It is not just that just because like I don't have a case or just because it is I just can't file case against anyone like that. I mean, I must have a prima facie case that some rights must have been violated. There must be some fact in issue. There must be some provision of law. Then only what is there, like it is called as prima facie case. Then another aspect is a defendant in a civil case. That is, in a civil case, there will be a plaintiff and another will be defendant. So a defendant in a civil case and accused or convicted in a criminal case is deemed to have a prima facie case. That is, whenever a defendant comes or an accused or convict comes to us to seeking free legal aid, then we have to give because they are like deemed to have prima facie case. Next one comes section 13, which says persons who satisfy all or any of the criteria specified under section 12 shall be entitled to receive legal services. As I said, that is prima facie case. And secondly, so far as income criteria is concerned, we'll come to that when I'm talking about section 12. An affidavit will be enough provided the authority is satisfied that affidavit is bona fide. What happens is in many of the cases, we find that just to avail free legal service, just because legal service is free, people come here to seek legal aid after extinguishing all the levels. They have gone everywhere and they feel yes, this is there is some institution which is giving free of cost. Advocates are there, free of cost are there. So therefore they will come. So in those cases, we'll come to know that fellow is well off, that fellow is economically sound, but still that person is claiming legal aid. Then only in those cases we ask for proper income certificate from the government. So this is the criteria under the general as to who are entitled. Now let us just check out actually who are entitled under section 12 of the Act. Section 12 of the Act gives out lists of persons, and after looking into the list, I'm sure you will conclude that in a country, in a vast country like India, 99.9% people are entitled for free legal aid. Or there is only one category which is not entitled for free legal service. We'll come to that later. Let us just see what is the list. The first comes all the members of SC/ST, whoever belong to the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, irrespective of their income, and the other categories, they are entitled for free legal service. Then is victim of trafficking in human beings or beggar, as referred in Article 23. A woman, I have specifically mentioned here, irrespective of income. That is, even if a woman comes in Audi car, the legal services institution have to give her free legal service. Or it is a child. That is, a child, whoever is below 18 years of age, irrespective of income and other category, they are entitled for free legal service. A person with disability or challenges, be it either physical challenge or mentally challenged person, they are entitled for free legal service. Victim of mass disaster, ethnic violence, caste atrocity, flood, drought, earthquake, or industrial disaster. Then comes an industrial workman. All industrial workmen are entitled for free legal service. Whoever is in custody, that is, be either the jails, the prisons, or custody in protective homes. When we say custody in protective homes, it means the child care, it may be the child care institution, or it may also be an asylum for mental health, or it may be also a state home for women, etc., where the person is in custody. So when I say that any person in custody, it means it includes custody in protective home, including CCIs and state homes also. And in Karnataka, all the persons having income of less than 3 lakhs per annum income, ವಾರ್ಷಿಕ ಆದಾಯ 3 ಲಕ್ಷಕ್ಕಿಂತನೂ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದ್ದವರು ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಫ್ರೀ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ. So now that you have seen the criteria, we can just sum up in one sentence. As I said, I think so all of you will agree that 99.9% of people in the country are entitled for free legal aid. Women and children, they constitute 50% of the population. Minimum, if you are not taking, I'm including children, irrespective of boys and girls. And then you have industrial labor and workmen, they also constitute some sector of population. We have physically challenged and mentally challenged persons. Then of all those whose income are less than 3 lakhs. The less than 3 lakhs annual income is lesser than the, I think so, BPL card holder. Even the BPL card holder will have more than 3 lakhs. So this is the criteria. wherein I can definitely say that 99.9% people in the country are entitled for free legal services. But the thing is, only 5 to 10%, maximum 10% of people avail the services of these legal services institution. Or in other words, what we can put is able-bodied man having income more than 3 lakhs, except him, everyone is entitled for free legal service in the country. I'll repeat, it is only able-bodied man above the age of 18 years having income more than 3 lakhs alone is not entitled for free legal services. All others are entitled for free legal services. So this is what is given in the section 12 as to a big list for us. Now let us just see as to what do we understand by the term legal services. See, the thing is, legal services to women is irrespective of income or caste or age, and it is for both offenders and victims. That is, if a person claiming coming to us needs legal service is a woman, irrespective of income, we give them legal service or they are entitled for free legal service. And there is no age bar, there is no caste bar, or there is no income bar, and it is equally applicable for both victims as well as offenders. That is, especially if it is a criminal case, there will be cases like wherein the woman is the accused person. She has committed some crime. Just because she has committed a crime, it doesn't disentitle her from getting a legal aid. So even if she is a woman offender, we have to give her free legal aid and the assistance, whatever is required. I'm not going into details of the CRPC provisions wherein there are special protection for women offenders. Just for an example, a woman cannot be arrested after 6 p.m. And if the police have to arrest women, it has to be through a woman PC only. So these are some of the conditions, like basic conditions given under the Code of Criminal Procedure. So just for example, and of course, all victims who are women are entitled for legal services. Now let's just see what do we understand by the term legal services. See, what happens is, I'll not go into much detail, but I'll just explain that this legal services is of twofold. It is of twofold. That is, rendering any service in the conduct of any case or legal proceedings before any court or authority or tribunal. So though the definition is given only court, it includes court, authority or tribunal. So if anyone who is entitled under section 12, if they want some legal service, we give them advocates. The legal services institution gives them advocates who are on our panel. And they are very, very senior advocates. They are very good experienced advocates. They will not charge the party even a single paisa. Whatever are the charges of filing a case, the court fees, and then the certified copy fees, the paper book fees, or even the typing charges, everything is borne by the legal services authorities. The advocate will not charge even a single paisa. They are entitled for minimum remuneration of rupees 10,000 per case at lower courts and 15,000 per case in the high courts. It may be of any timeline. So for the entire case, it is 15,000 in high courts, and for entire case and effective hearing. So maximum is 10,000 which we give. This is before any court. And another one kind of advice, like service which we give to everyone, those who are entitled, is giving of advice in any legal matter through legal services clinics. This is like just like a doctor's clinic. You have advice over the counter, OPD kind of a thing. We have these clinics established in various places wherein experts like legal experts are there, panel advocates are there, retainer lawyers are there. They will sit across the table and give you free advice. So that is legal advice over the counter. Now, where are these legal services clinics are established? You can find them in the courts, in all the courts. be it either the Taluka court or the district court or the high court or Supreme Court. In courts, they are called as front offices. And in High Court Legal Service Committee also, we have these front offices. Then another clinic is established at CDPO. CDPO is Child Development Protection Officer. It is both like at Taluka level. They also work as the subordinate for the WCD. That is the Women and Child Welfare Development Welfare Department. They work for them, CDPO. So we have clinics established there. Tahsildar offices we have in jails, in all the prisons. In Karnataka, there are 52 prisons. In all the 52 prisons, including the women prison in the Shimoga and Bangalore section, we have like these clinics wherein every week 2 advocates will visit the prisons in turn. They'll take turns on rotation basis and they will render free legal advice to the inmates of the jails. We have also legal aid clinics, these clinics in police stations, in all the police stations. The other day, Karnataka State Legal Service Authority announced that around 781 police stations across the state, we have established these legal service clinics, including women police stations. And then in some parts, we also have legal aid clinics in village panchayats, senior citizen offices or the NGOs working, and also at one-stop centers. So it is where like you have these advocates who are on the panel of the legal services institution, be it either the district legal service authority or the taluka or the state. The High Court Legal Service doesn't have these clinic facilities. We have it only in the High Court premises. So here, like, let's just talk about one-stop centers for women victims. As I said, all the women, be it either offender or the victims, are entitled to free legal services. Especially one-stop centers are established at the initiative of the Government of India, and they run under the Women and Child Welfare Department. Yes, you can see it on the screen that there are, this is the mission Shakti, which has been launched by the Government of India as an initiative. It is an integrated women empowerment program, umbrella scheme for safety, security, and empowerment of women. See, if you just see the screen, you'll find like there are so many schemes for women. One is Matru Vandana scheme, then Towards a New Dawn, and also Beti Padhao or Beti Bachao. So it is like save the girl child kind of a thing. So why I'm speaking about this is one-stop center for women victims is launched under this Mission Shakti scheme. Now let's see like what are the services which we get from the one-stop centers for women victim. See, so far as these one-stop centers for women are concerned, they act as the rescue points rather. When I was working in Udupi as member secretary DLSA, I have had received calls in the midnight, like 1:30 like night, or 2 AM in the morning, from some of our paralegal volunteers stating that they have found a woman like who has lost her consciousness, either drunk or like drugged rather, because I was working in Udupi, we had a lot of these kind of cases, especially coming from Manipal area and in between. So we used to receive calls from the paralegal volunteers and stating that there's a woman who has fallen on the road. Maybe like we had to take her immediately to the one-stop center, wherein there are several services which are available at one stop. And one day it's an umbrella kind of services. See, what happens is usually when a woman is victim of any offense, she doesn't come out first thing. ಹೊರಗೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ 4 ಜನರಿಗೆ ಹಿಂಗಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಮರ್ಯಾದೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ಇಂಥ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಅ ರನ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಪಿಲ್ಲರ್ ಟು ಪೋಸ್ಟ್. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ, ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೋದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅವರು ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಸೇ ಇಸ್ no, this is a medical legal case, go to the medical doctor first, you go to the hospital, ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಕೇಸ್, ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಇರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಜನರಲ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ಸ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಇರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ ಕಡೆ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಈ ತರದೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ದಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಥಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಅ wherein like there is integrated, basically it's a temporary like arrangement which is made. One is like emergency and immediate service, short term care irutte, ಏನೇನು ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ continuous support for the care who are affected by violence and women in distress. And there is also like 24/7 helpline number, toll free ಇದೆ 181 toll free women helpline for women, and of course police helpline number 112. So ಈ ಎರಡು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಸಹಿತ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು we have responded to 181 like being a member secretary, we have responded to 181 these toll free helpline numbers wherein we were connected where they wanted some helpline. So in that case those are the things ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುದೇನು one stop centers ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Why I'm insisting on this like sharing this one stop center information with all the women here is, ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ವಿಷಯ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿರ್ತೇವೆ ಜನರಿಗೆ, ನಮ್ ಮನೆಗ್ ಕೆಲ್ಸದವ್ರೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ನಮ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ವಿ ನೋ somebody who is in distress, who has been subject to violence, who has been subject to domestic violence and she doesn't know where to go. So ಆ ರೀತಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು approach, like every district has one stop center, you can just check that list on the internet. ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಏನೇ ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರು 181 ಗೆ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ರೀಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಟು ಒನ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದೀಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಒನ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಟೆಂಪರರಿ ಶೆಲ್ಟರ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಏಡ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಬ್ರು ಪ್ಯಾನಲ್ ಅಡ್ವೊಕೇಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, there will be 2 panel advocates 24/7, their mobile phones are available. Even if it is a daytime, the advocates will go and talk to them. Then we have also the psychosocial counseling, experts from MSW fields ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ಲಿ MSW ಕ್ವಾಲಿಫೈಡ್ ಆದವರನ್ನೇ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒನ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಗೆ ತಗೋತಾರೆ ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ, ಅವ್ರು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎಮರ್ಜೆನ್ಸಿ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಅಸಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡೆಡ್, ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೇಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಪೊಲೀಸರು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, 24/7 ಒಂದು ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲೇ. ದೆನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ದಟ್, but 164 statement which a magistrate records is also done in the one stop center. In addition to these, now like the High Court of Karnataka has set up vulnerable deposition centers anta madidare, vulnerable witness deposition centers. One stop center is one of such center. So an aggrieved or a victim woman need not even go to the court, but she can even record her evidence. Yes, my sir. So that is it. So far as one stop center for woman victim is concerned, long term support alli kodtare, financial support.
Madam?
Yes sir.
Other 2 panels also waiting.
Yes sir, please. I'll just wind it up, like not an issue. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Sorry.
No, absolutely not an issue, like because the subject itself is so vast, like so if you just get to know about one stop centers ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಸೂರಿನಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. Conclusion ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ what I can say is, no doubt the government is making a lot of efforts. There are schemes coming up, there are laws, there are institutions, there are people who will help you. But ultimately it is the woman who has to decide that yes, I want help anta. If she doesn't like come out of the house itself, and if she is going to remain in oblivion, then that oppression is going to continue on her. Yakandre oppression on women athwa ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಆಗುವಂತ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ಇದು ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪರ್ಪೆಚುವಲ್. ಸಕಾಲಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ಕಾಲ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರು ಸಹಿತ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅರಿವಿತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಧೈರ್ಯ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಟು ಆಲ್ ದಿ ವುಮೆನ್ ಔಟ್ ದೇರ್ that yes, we are there with you. Anybody needs help, you can contact like any of the helpline numbers or the nearest legal services institution near you for the legal services. Like I hope like I was able to convey my message like in the whatever short time like which is given. Of course, these slides are there with Dr. Mahesh. You can even take them. They are very explanatory in themselves. So thank you, JSS institution, for giving me this opportunity. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving in detail information about legal assistance by Legal Service Authority. It is true that right to life includes right to legal assistance and right to food with nutrition. I request Dr. Komala Madam to speak on the topic health, nutrition, and working women. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mahesh. I want to share the PPT. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening to all. Myself, Professor Komla, Chairperson of Department of Studies in Food Science and Nutrition. Already I've heard of the brief introduction about me. And I thank the organizers first for providing me the opportunity to share whatever the views I have with regard to health, nutrition, and provisions, mainly with regard to women employees. Then I thank Dr. BP Mahesh, because he is the main key person behind this. And I thank all the organizers for providing me the opportunity. So the topic is health, nutrition, provision for women employees. So I'd like to just start with the greetings from the University of Mysore, and hope everyone are aware of this. Just a minute. I couldn't able to read the things. Just I'll change the mode. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. You can go ahead. Status of women, Indian women is the slide that's visible for us.
So slides are moving now?
Yeah, it's moving. So now it's the greetings from University of
Yeah. I just want to hide this because it's Divya, ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ ಇದನ್ನ ತೆಗಿಬೇಕಿದು ವ್ಯೂ ಇದು ವ್ಯೂ ಇದು ಇದಾಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಬ್ಸ್ಟಕಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ hide non-video participants. ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೆತ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಓದಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಾಣಲ್ಲ. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. So as you all aware, the independent India has witnessed many changes, mainly with regard to the social position and the status of the women. And also you are aware of like many reforms have been carried out for the betterment and upliftment of the women's condition in Indian society. And even women have attained the consciousness with regard to the privileges and the right in the country, but not up to the expected level. And they are educationally, politically, socially, economically progressed, and also they take active part in various fields. Then if you're looking at the educational level, like the population of India is 1.38 billion, where it is equivalent to 17.7% of the total world population. And also if you look into the gender ratio also, like again, now it is, I think, 6 states and union territories, including Punjab and Delhi, they have a lesser ratio, whereas the Telangana, Tamil Nadu, they have more gender ratios. And even the various factors influences on the educational level. So if you look at the female literacy rate also, like it indicates that 70.3, whereas male literacy rate is estimated to be 84.3. There is a gap you can notice. And the various factors influences on this, like social discrimination, gender inequality, occupation of the girl child in domestic core, and economic exploitation, all that things has hindered the educational status of the women. And there are various other reasons which can also lead the way for the dropout rates, especially at primary and middle school. Like cost of education is too much, or of maybe they have a less interest, or maybe they're getting into the early age marriage. So even the law says that, but in many of the rural areas, you can notice that early age, maybe around 16, 17 years of age, they get into the marriage, and they're required for work, mainly with regard to the family business or of in their own form. All that, and even non-availability of educational center, unsafe means of travel, lack of proper toilet, and all these are some of the additional reasons why the educational level of women or of girl is not up to the mark. Then with regard to the workforce, the women in the workforce, so all these pictures, images clearly indicated that the women still couldn't able to achieve whatever is expected. Say somewhere around 47% of the women against to the 74% of the women are in the workforce. And the one of the statistics that is with regard to the World Bank, that clearly indicated that like the female labor participation was increased. That is earlier, sorry, it is decreased. Earlier in the year 1983, it was somewhere around 31.9. Now it has come down. So even the decline with the female labor force participation can also be attributed for the various reasons. Maybe they are bounded with the domestic duties, or of their conservative social norms, or of lack of flexible work model have hindered the education, workforce, like involvement of the women in job. Then even the periodic labor force survey has also clearly indicated that the female labor force participation in India is very below compared to that of male. And financial year of 2020 clearly indicated that the ratio of the male participant is 56.8, whereas for the female it is 22.2. Then even the many statistics I could able to collect with regard to the female participation in the labor. So the state of Bihar still remained in the worst performance, whereas Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, even Karnataka state has quite a good number of women laborers. Then with regard to the another important thing is that, see, the female labor force is vulnerable for the maximum distortion that has an adversity effect with regard to their health and nutrition, mainly with the quality of life. So even in the recent COVID-19 pandemic also, the female labor force was struggled a lot, and also their participation rate has fell to the record low of 15.5%. And even according to the Azim Premji University has carried out one research paper, published the research paper, where they have clearly mentioned that, like, compared with of men, the women were 7 times more likely to lose the work during the nationwide lockdown and 11 times more likely not to return to their work subsequently. Then if you look at the occupation also, like you can see that the different type of occupations in which the women are participating in it. And if you compare the rural with of urban, see, in the urban, the shares of salarized or of wage earning females are more compared to the male. Whereas in rural areas, the self-employed females are going to be noticed at a higher rate. But whereas in rural area, female workforce participation in maximum of agriculture is noticed, and that is followed by the manufacturing, construction, and other hospitality industries. So this is the recent statistics I could able to get. And various challenges are going to be faced by the women employees in India. It is not only in India, even in many of the underdeveloped, developing countries, you can notice this. So these are all some of the problems commonly faced by the working women. Like with regard to the workplace, there may be a gender discrimination, unequal pay, mental or physical harassment, and they may have a fixed working hours, insufficient maternity leaves, low salary, leadership, all those things. And whereas in the family also, they are going to encounter with a lot of problems like mother's responsibilities, taking care of the child and all that. They have to carry out the household duties, and also lack of support from the husband. Now the trend has been changing. Then balancing the time, health, fitness, like not able to give enough time for their own personal things. Then this is also according to the one of the survey carried out on the multitasking seriously affecting corporate women health. And this was conducted by one of the organization where they try to cover the women, that's especially the working women from Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Jaipur, Kolkata, Lucknow, and Mumbai, Pune. According to the findings, it's clearly indicated that like 2,800 corporate women employees from 120 companies across 11 broad sector had one or the other health issues. So 78% of the sample size suffer from lifestyle, chronic and acute ailments. And also many were encountered with obesity, depression, chronic back pain, diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, heart and kidney diseases. Whereas 42% of the sample size was found to suffer from lifestyle diseases. And even many of the women employees suffered with the fear of losing their job because of the all these health issues. So majority of the women suffering from such ailments, very rarely they do visit the doctor, not frequently. So even the various health organizations as well as NGOs has carried out the study, and they have come out with the findings. Like 93% of the women face a conflict of interest, especially they have a problem associated with balancing the family responsibility, health and professional obligations. And 68% of the women feel pressure to prioritize the family over the work. And 7 out of 10 causes of death in women in India was noticed, mainly because NCDs, like heart attack, stroke, respiratory issues, and other things. And 61% of the women diagnosed with PCOS, like where they have ignoring their personal health and prolonged period. And 60,000 of death each year in the women due to the cervical cancer, and less than 30% of the women in the aged, especially reproductive age, that is 30 to 49, have ever been screened for the cervical cancer. So this is again the statistics which clearly indicated that the working women are also suffering from the prevalence of anemia, and especially during the pregnancy period, women are anemic. So the women who are suffering from the malnutrition, maybe they are having the low BMI less than 18.5, or sometimes, see, as we are aware, the India is suffering from double burden problem. One side we are facing the obesity, overweight, the other side we are also facing the malnutrition, that is undernutrition. So this is the statistics clearly indicate the women are suffering with the maternal malnutrition. Then with regard to the India and Karnataka, they had given, like there also the statistics clearly say that women are very thin, one side, the other side, they are overweight and obese, and anemia, that is very huge, and maternal mortality rate is also very high, and neonatal mortality. See, if something goes wrong with the health of the mother, definitely that will carry out to the next generation, where the child may going to suffer with various malnutrition. Then major causes of malnutrition, many of you have aware of, like because of their socioeconomic status, they may have difficulties to access to the healthy food, or sometimes whatever the food they consume, that may not have a sufficient requirement of micronutrients, and also the water and sanitation facility was not proper, so that in turn leads to the infection, and loss of nutrition due to the infection, lack of awareness with regard what to eat, how much to be taken, all that. So again, this right side of the picture clearly indicated that, like what type of diet they are consuming. And see, look at the consumption of fruits. That's very rarely, once in a week they're going to consume. And green leafy vegetables also, it is less than 50% of the population you can see. So which are all very, very essentials for leading a healthy life. So even various, all these are all according to the research findings. They say that the various factors contribute for the nutritional status, like the household income, the quality of environment, number of people, that are siblings, vulnerability for gender discrimination. Still, you can able to notice this kind of gender discrimination in rural setup, and also the mother's activity status and how she has exposed herself to the various social stimulation. See, even today, you can notice that in the women of lower strata are facing alcoholic, like husband will be alcoholic, and it's very difficult for them to lead the life. So even decision-making power at the household is not yet completely given to the women. So it's very difficult for the women to lead the life. And these are some of the malnutrition determinants, like it may be a hunger, ignorance, or of the unsafe water, inadequate investment in health and other sectors, especially again from the low socioeconomic strata. If you ask them, they will go to the, if it is their health condition is so severe, then only they will go to the hospital. Otherwise, they are least bothered about their health. And inadequate health infrastructure, and even weak implementation of government nutrition schemes, because it's many people are not aware of what are all the government schemes are available for them. So they are ignorant, and also unemployment, poverty also contributed, even child marriage contributed for the malnutrition. So usually the women's nutrition status depends on their roles, whatever they're going to perform, the biological roles or reproductive roles, very, very important things, which has an implications on their own health, and also it influences on the birth outcome, and even it influence on the lactational performance. Whereas with regard to the social roles, you can notice like the family, mother, education, wife, what type of the roles they will going to carry on in the family also influences on their nutritional status. And especially according to the research, women who are from the poor working environment, that is with regard to the job, So they may have many forms of exploitations that has a detrimental effect on health and well-being of the worker. So some of the most common health hazard which they can notice with regard to the working area, especially this is with regard to the women who are working in the garment sector. See, they may encountered with a respiratory, musculoskeletal problem, reproductive health problem, neurological, mental illness, ophthalmological, as well as malnutrition. So even they suffer from various malnutrition. They may have a less appetite, diarrhea, jaundice, or food poisoning, and improper diet among the workers, especially due to their low wages or low education, again make them vulnerable to the various health conditions. So all these ill health is compounded by the various socioeconomic factors, that is a known factor, and even how long they are going to work and what kind of a work they are going to perform in the working place influences, or that will decide the risk to get the physical or of nutritional health problems. So this is the in textile context, 5 lakhs of government workers are there in Karnataka state, and 80% of this workforce comprises female employees, and they are working in a subhuman conditions like low wages, gender disparity, sexual harassment is commonly noticed. And also, according to the research, marginal worker women employees is also deprived of various social security benefits, and they work in the unfavorable environment under conditions like low paid, poor working conditions, and precarious status with no scope of promotions, and all that will affect, especially leads to the mental health.
Madam,
Then, yes.
1 or 2 minutes, ma'am. Can we?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. This is one of the study in our own department we carried out, that is in Mysore itself. And we try to cover 36 ready-made garments and embroideries in the Mysore. And we could able to find again the BMI, that is body mass index of 41.5% of the young women were indicating overweight because they have to sit for a longer period. Then also we could notice with regard to the abdominal obesity, like again, more than 38% of the young women were at risk of abdominal obesity. Then again, there is an association with the age of the women and their body composition. Then another study carried out in a Meenakshi, like by the Meenakshi Mathur, again has indicated obesity is one of the overweight and obesity is commonly noticed. So the empowerment, we have to do it. And I don't want to get into the meaning of what is the women empowerment and all that. So there are different types like economic empowerment, social empowerment, political empowerment, all that. So I try to connect this cultural empowerment where the food, clothing, religion, customs, everything, but mainly focus on the food. So always we talk about the food security or of nutritional security. When we say food security, it is nothing but where all the people at all the time, if they have an access to the nutritious food, safe and personally acceptable and culturally appropriate food, and then we say they are food secured. Okay, so the fourth dimension on which we're going to talk about always. So this is the food security, the domestic production, food stock, import, food aid, and dependent on all this. So nowadays we started like getting the food is not sufficient. You should get the nutrients, okay, which can promote the optimal health and well-being of an individual throughout all the stages of life. That is from the pregnancy till the old age. So already earlier speaker, Madam Kaveri Madam has spoke to you about the legal services and other things. Even with regard to the health and nutrition, many policies and programs have been introduced by the central government and state government. Like these are all some of the programs which try to cater to the women as well as of the children, mainly with regard to the food security. So the important thing is we can change or we can empower the women with the better policies and legislation. There is no doubt about it, but there is also necessary, we have to take a protection against this child marriage, pregnancy, and also to control income, resources, reducing the time constraint, enhances their knowledge, good nutrition, and also like increasing the women involvement in decision making at all level. So these are all some of the tips, like where the working women commonly do that. They don't have their breakfast. So better to have their breakfast or lunch or a dinner, and also they should carry the home cooked food and snacks, and also in between it is necessary they have to have a cup of tea and green tea. Then they have to avoid the carbonated beverages and biscuits, chips, and all that. And they are not supposed to miss out their vegetables and protein. They have to eat local, seasonal, fresh fruits. And always they have to read the nutrient labels, whatever is given on the packed foods. That's very, very essential. And that is a current issue in present day. And even their sleeping habit is very, very essential to maintain physical as well as of mental health. So the women are the building blocks of family. They are the thread that ties up the whole family. And women build a family, and family builds the home, and home a society. And at last, the society transforms the nations. So, Shaktishali, Mahila Sadrul Samajavannu Nirmisuttale ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಗಾದೆ ಮಾತಿದೆ ಅಥವಾ quotations ಇದೆ. That is 100% sure. And as Kaveri Madam said, the women should initiate themselves in getting the benefits and the facilities. Then only it is possible for her to take care of her health or nutrition status. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for highlighting on the issues on health and nutrition. Yes, it is a time to think on how to come out from stress at working places. Now I request Dr. Kumudini Madam to speak on the topic, how to come out with the stress at working places. Over to you, ma'am.
Madam,
Am I audible?
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
you're audible, ma'am.
Over to you,
Yes,
ma'am.
Request to,
Is the screen also visible?
yes, ma'am. Your screen is visible.
Yeah, thank
A
you.
kind request to finish it in a little as fast as possible.
Yes, I understand. I definitely do that.
It's difficult to maintain the audience.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. So straight I go to explain about the harassment in the workplace, which is an unfortunate reality. And it is also the one of the characteristics of toxic and abusive environment or workplace. If you go for formal definition, workplace harassment occurs when employee or a group of employees feel threatened or belittled by their colleagues. So it's not so very healthy contributions to any women working in the, we can change this. Actually, when you really understand, harassment occurs when people targets multiple groups, including women, whom we say the vulnerable groups of the society, like women, racial minorities, sexual minorities, people with disabilities, and immigrants. But generally, the psychological studies, is there anything that I have to change?
Ma'am, you can go for full screen mode. At the top, it's not, yeah, the full screen is not visible. So you can go for full screen.
Full screen, actually, I have given full screen.
Yeah, that's right. So again, you can click for full screen.
Shall I stop sharing and go again?
Yeah, that would be better.
Yeah. Full screen there, yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is full screen.
You'll have to click that now. Yes.
Did you get now?
It is loading. 1 second.
It's loading. Okay.
No, you can go ahead now. It did not load.
Thank you. Now I go directly to understand the types of harassment a lady undergoes in the working environment. The first one is discriminatory harassment, where she'll get discriminated because of her gender, religion, or disability base. If you come back to age-based harassment is like, under the Age Discrimination in Employment Act 1967, ageism has been referred, wherein 40 plus years old workers are concentrated or protected under this law. It is because it is just to manage the biases against people based on their age, like generational differences on topics or technological literacy and all those things. Then comes the sexual orientation based harassment. It is LGBT activities. If you take up Infosys, they have different cells for these LGBTs. They have all counseling services and all that, just to avoid such harassments. And then personal harassment includes like rude comments on somebody, or hostile environment, abusive environment, or offensive jokes on the individual where his personal dignity get disturbed, and all those things comes under personal harassment. And the physical harassment is generally the touch, and path blocking, or psychologically they go really disturbed with all those interventions. Those comes under personal harassment, physical harassment. And then if you come to the power based harassment, then discrimination, or because somebody is in the power, they abusive, they adopt abusive behaviors to their subordinates, and all those things comes under power harassment. Psychological harassment is something like making the women employee isolated or neglecting them in the workplace, or having some rumors against that lady, and all those things comes under psychological harassment. The study says 1 in 5 women undergoes psychological harassment. Then comes the sexual harassment. We all know about POSH Act and all. A study says 1 in 15 reports that they have undergone sexual harassment. It is only the reporting figure, 1 in 15, but it is not the actual figure that is happening. So we need to be more careful in saying that. Then the digital abuse, like, technology-based cyber crimes and all those things, like, cyberbullying or gossiping, all those things comes under online digital harassment. And retaliation is another thing which takes place in the, subtle way in the working environment. It is overlooked. In fact, this type of harassment has been overlooked. And the person harasses someone to get revenge on somebody, and make the victim not to behave in such manner in future. It is kind of manhandling in a very sensitive way. So retaliation is another harassment which cannot be put in proper terminologies at all. If you come to effects of harassment, we can understand that disturbed psychological state is one of the first threat any women undergo. And then because of that psychological threat, she suffers from mental health issues. Because she is mentally disturbed, her productivity goes down. Meanwhile, the organization or institution's goodwill get damaged. Social immorality in the working environment decreases, and disturbed in the larger perspective, the cultural factors in the society definitely get damaged, such as the institutions, social institutions such as marriage, family do get really disturbed. These things happens because the woman undergoes stress. Either she undergoes stress and she feels this, or she feels this and undergoes the stress. So here, to understand what stress is, it can be defined as a response of the body to any demand placed on it. So when situation demands more than the capacity of an individual, he or she undergoes the sensation of stress. the elements which are responsible for triggering the stress in an individual is called stressor generally. The sources of stress are the external and internal factors comes in. Both are very important, but the major or more strong element is the internal forces to feel the stress. And the lady who has sensed the stress is definitely will have all these characteristics. The first one is to fight or flight response. So she has to decide how she wants to respond to the stress she is undergoing, and increased muscle tension, palpitation, increased blood pressure, dryness of mouth, increased perspirations, changes in respiratory rate, and increased serum glucose. All these things are some of the characteristics of the stress. The bodily symptoms are, flushing or shallow breathing, and all those things which we know generally what happens in that. Apart from that, we also can classify these things as feelings and cognitive and motor symptoms. This is how it gets classified for treating or asking the lady to have coping mechanisms. So the lady definitely has to understand what kind of a stress she is feeling, whether it is in the cognitive state or motor states or feeling state. So that is where she can work on rectifying the things for herself. All the stress are not really the negative, will carry the negative impact. The eustress is one thing very positively. The women can take it in a right spirit and go ahead with, and distress is where she gets really psychologically disturbed. Majority of the women do feel the distress when they are working in the environment. The social workers, the social workers has to work for them to convert that to eustress. That is a mechanism we need to have to coping up with the situations. Wherein we also have to understand what is acute and chronic stress. Acute is something very sudden, incidences bring you the stress, kind of like, a death in the family, unexpected death or accidents and kind of things. And chronic disease is something the victim goes really exhausted with the energy coping up with the situation, and comes into the stage where she feels, oh no, I'm done with that. That kind of a chronic stress gives you the result. And effects of acute stress is mostly the physical in the beginning, and then it leads to the psychological aspect, whereas chronic stress is mostly the psychological in nature, resulting in somatic disorders. So this is how the chronic and the acute stress influences the body things. To see this, generally what happens, how is your personality that makes to feel what is stress or how the stress is affecting you. So it is very important what kind of a personality a woman has to understand or to take the pressure of the stress. There are different personality types named, like, type A, type B, type B. Since we don't have time, I just go. Type A people are the people who are really vulnerable for having stress too much, because their characteristics by nature, they'll be feeling timely urgency, rapid movements, impatient, very impatient. They go tensed very easily, they go restless, and that is the basic characteristics the woman will be having by herself. So that basic characteristic lead her or make her more vulnerable to have impacts of stress. And these are the mental health status where the women really undergo this thing. Sometimes she is expressive, sometimes she will not be expressive, but definitely she'll be suffering from all these things, like anxiety disorder, OCD, and PTSD, depression, and adjustment disorders, and psychotic disorders are the major elements what I have reported here. Coming back to the coping with stress, this is where my topic, my title is mostly associated with. How are we going to help a women employee to cope up with the stress? The first thing is, as I said, the mental makeup is the first thing that she needs to work upon. anything, any relevant situation, like, whatever the situation is, how you're taking and how you're handling it makes whether to take the stress in a positive way or the negative way. That is where I said eustress and the distress. She is taking in a distressive way. You have to convert that into a eustress ways. Like, the last point I've mentioned here is the same situation, but the different response. Perspective has to be changed. For changing the perspective, she needs to mentally prepare herself and handle the situation in a very systematic way. That is where the first intervention has to be with the women. That then, helping the women to get involved with the meaningful activities where she feels fulfilled. Her confidence level has to be raised up for motivating her to face the situation positively. It's not that somebody harasses her and she has to harass her back or give the punishment. She can even convert. The lady really has that energy to convert the whole situation into a developmental possibility. That is also there. So we need to be more productive in handling the stress also. And then going to the next point, building a socially supportive relationship. See, social support is one thing which really motivates the energy level of women, especially. See, I'm very particular about women. They need that social support so drastically. Something went wrong. Is the slides seen now?
Yes, ma'am, we have started sharing. Earlier it was not seen, so now we are sharing it.
Is it okay now?
1 second. Ranjit. What was your slide number, ma'am? Go further. Go further. One nimsha.
But it's not moving.
This management of stress is the title.
Yeah. Yes.
Nanda.
Yeah.
Screen full share again. Is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am. Is this the slide okay?
No, you have to go further. Go further. No, you have come to the end. Go up, back again. Maybe 3 slides, 2 slides before. Yeah, you can stop here. And stress mapping is another, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Stress mapping is another element we can, offer to the lady who is suffering from stress. Stress mapping is personal stress analysis. Start analyzing where the stress started, whether it is in the perception or not, kind of. That is where I always tell, it is very important to know whether you have to modify your behavior. Behavior modification is required or environmental modification is required. These are the 2 elements we need to definitely tell to her to stress the stress for mapping the stress. So one thing is she has to change her mental setup or she has to change the environmental setup. This is something we need to give it to her in the stress mapping situation. Can I go to the next? Yeah. The next thing is, as I said, develop the skills is very important in understanding the communication pattern of the environment we are living in. Like, first thing is motivating or uplifting her internal energy by asking her to practice the self-care issues, and then addressing this low self-esteem areas in her personality. Then thinking mechanism has to be changed by reducing the personalization of the environmental factors, and all those things will go. And the optional thinking is another thing very importantly we need to discuss upon. What is optional thinking is black or white thinking. You have to choose how you want to think about, how do you want to receive the things. Reception is one thing that somebody has to be more concentrated on. The next one is very importantly, which really works in many cases I have seen, humor is one thing that you can adopt for channelizing your own energy. So humor as a technique, if you adopt, stress can be relieved to this certain extent. Then the relaxation techniques, as everybody says, like, yoga and biofeedback and muscle relaxation techniques, all these things will be going. And the last thing I advise is the exercise. Everybody advises, but there is a threat also in exercising for, management of stress. Many people I have seen missing or skipping exercise also triggers them into stress, also lead them to the stress. They say 3 days, from past 3 days, I have not really exercised. So it's making me stressed. So that itself is also an element. So it's completely what I say to sum up is, where there is a will, there is a way. We need to be empowered. Empowerment is not any other way. It is a psychological empowerment we need to handle any situations, right? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for all the panelists to speak on the different issues. Kaveri madam spoke on the issues on legal empowerment, how legal service authority is helping. Komala madam spoke on the issues relating to health and nutrition. Kumudri madam spoke on the stress. Now is a time to go for question answer or remarks. Over to you, sir.
I think all the four panelists were able to really explain about the four given topics very elaborately, where the audience were able to understand a lot of things that they spoke about. Thank you for that. I think one question that I had was with regard to the services, legal services. I was wondering whether old age home comes into the purview of an institution or under custody. That was one question.
So far as old age homes are concerned, they are under the care protection. It so happens that when there is nobody, like destitute or a deserted old person is there, and he is in the care of a particular old age person. So naturally, it is the state which has to take care of the entire affairs. So that is the reason, like we have, legal services. We have also got this regulation, like NALSA regulations of free and competent legal services. So under that regulation, number 7, subclause 3, what we have is, even if a person is not falling under the particular criteria, if there are advocates who are giving pro bono services, then definitely they can avail the legal services. This is one point. But usually what happens is, if it is a government like old age home, definitely they are under the care and custody. It is not just custody, it is care and custody. When we talk of custody, we only understand that the person is arrested or person is under detention. That is not the thing. The term custody is preceded with care and custody. So that is the reason we have the child care institutions. We have they are in the care and custody. For example, there will be some mental asylums wherein they are also under care and custody. So whoever is under care and custody, they are definitely entitled for legal services from any of the institutions.
Thank you so much. I request Shivananda sir to conclude the session.
At the outset, let me thank the organizers for having given me an opportunity. And I've seen from 3 o'clock, actually, I'm seeing all these situations of all good 4 speakers, starting from Mahesh. He always completely stated about whole industrial laws. Mahesh was my student earlier and colleague. Later on, he actually shifted to Bangalore. Entire industrial law in a beautiful manner he presented. And later on, Kaveri madam, we have to give lots of time to her. Madam, because of most of the legal aid, everything actually cleanly and neatly, actually meticulously comes out. And sorry, madam, for not giving more time to you. And later on, Komala madam completely suggested about health point and everything. That is good. Of course, we can invite, why not for men, certainly. And at the lastly, Kumadina Madam also suggested about the sexual harassment at workplace and regarding stress management. Everything is good. And finally, I have to see the audience first. If I am taking more time, certainly that is utter violation of human rights. You have to know it. And thanks for all of you. And I don't know how the patience of all those speakers, and even now you are actually sitting to listen me at least for 4 minutes. Just I'm going to take just 4 minutes only. And it's a special recommendation from my Madam Dakshani also, just 4 to 5 minutes, relating to the whole idea of Hindu empowerment. Just now only say something about women empowerment, good, but women shall be empowered financially. How to do it? According to 6,000 years of Vedic period, no Veda suggests about give some kind of empowerment to women. Most of you will be surprised to see that all Vedas mention about exclusion of women from inheritance, no right as such. Later on, just 2 pieces of legislation. One in Right to Women Act of 1937 gives some kind of limited right to all women to get that right. One instance, if husband dies in the year 1936, all the property would goes to his brother only, not to the wife. Think of situation. Since 6,000 years, no question of giving any right to women. Later on in the year 1956, all of you salute to that particular enactment. Hindu Succession Act gives lots of right to women. If any person dies, father dies, anybody dies, certainly his self-acquired property certainly goes to all.
Issues ಏನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಕಣೋ ಇನ್ನ.
Later on, one last point, in 2005, certainly some kind of
ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಇದು ಮಾಡು. ನಾನು ಇನ್ನು PPT
some kind of enactment actually. So why I'm actually making all these things? Do you know, after passing of this enactment, if you are surprised to see that there are more than 25,000 enactments are there. Even in my lifetime also, I cannot study all. In that situation, 1 or 2 pieces of legislation I can bring before you. And one practical instance, do you know who are those persons who are envying or who are going against women right? Women only. In most of the situation, I'm actually conducting many legal aid camp. I suggested them, what is the impact of this right to women? That all kinds of grandmothers and others saying, why should we give property to all women, the daughter? Why should they are not ready? Mothers are not ready to give the property to daughter. And what they are suggesting, if the property actually given to them, they are going to other family. So these kind of things are actually normally coming. Please note that particular point. And certainly, according to me, women empowerment shall be there, certain. But at the same time, there are plenty of laws actually coming out. But implementation, most of the time, the implementation is not taking place correctly. And we have to blame the implementation machinery, not the laws. Laws are good, but the implementation is so wrong. So that we have to strengthen the hands of the implementer so that all those laws, whatever we are having now, that certainly reaches each woman. And this juncture, I can say that good day will come. Certainly, we'll actually anticipate that day. All laws are implemented properly, and that reaches each woman. Thank you.
I thank each and every panelist who gave us a brief, or I can say gave us an overview about the protective provisions for women employees, along with the health nutrition provisions for women employees and how to overcome the harassment at the workplace. Now, I request Mr. Swami N, Account Officer, JSS AHR, to felicitate our chairperson, Professor Shivanand Bharti. Request Dr. Girish, JSS Dental College, to felicitate Dr. Dakshani. I thank all the panelists who gave us an overview of all the sessions regarding the provisions for women employees. Thank you, ma'am and sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Sir. Now I thank each and everyone who is present here, along with our esteemed speakers who enlightened. Thank you one and all.
Thanks to all.